I wanted the extension cables. As you see, when this thing starts moving around, I had the card hanging right here. All right, and it's just like, I really don't want to do a lot of that. And if this is in your way, Rob, I can.
No, I'm good.
All right. So what ended up happening is I only tested the top 3. Well, when I finally got around to the bottom 2, I noticed that he's facing forward. Well, as far as the adjustment was concerned, that was max left, and then it would go right, and then it would chatter. So it's like, well, that one's out of alignment, and this one here, you're going to see, has got some issues that the head weighs more than it can really lift up well and smoothly. The other thing that ends up happening, this is good learning, this is why we love prototypes, is that when you turn off the power and the head's like this, it weighs enough, it'll just sag. And it's like, wait a minute, we want to talk about that too. Or we make sure that before we power it off, it's always up. But there's a fair amount going on with the servos. This guy here, which adjusts the neck, the whole neck and head, should be stronger, and this guy here also, you'll see as he nods, should be stronger. And the reason why it's able to do it, but it comes back and hums a fair amount. Mm-hmm. So you'll hear it various times that I'm dealing with that. So the other thing working with John that's been great is obviously he plays around with this stuff, so he knows the electronics. I was thinking we'd use the helper tooth. Okay, nothing wrong with the helper tooth. The model we were looking at is going to be $25-$35, and it would take 3 of those to run this because it's 2 access per. Now the helper tooth it's a different beast. With the servo, you don't need the feedback and the reading. So helper tooth was too much. This guy here, Steve bought for what, $40?
$30, I think. Or was it 40?
I think it was $39.99.
Okay.
$39.95. Yeah.
That's possible.
Okay. And I got a 12 drive unit. So I can drive 12 servos. Steve can drive 18. One of the things I like about this one more is the power connection. I'm able to actually come in with screw mounts to mount the power. Okay. But where I was going with the conversation is because John is kind of in this field, he could point us to the right driver, the right electronics. And for this, it's the right electronics. Now, when we've got bigger motors, you can't run, power through those little cables. We'll have the power going externally to the servo and just have the signal line go up. But for now, this is really good. Before I do motion, let's talk a little bit more about the rest of the setup. Rob, you probably recognize the power supply. Hey, the PC power supply worked good. So we're just going to use the same model. We could have used something smaller. Get the same model. Was my feeling. All right. We use the same kind of connections. You get one of these. Steve, you got these for what, 15 cents?
Yeah, that's why I bought like 100
of them. Cut off the end, and now I'm able to use 2 of the wires to go right up. Nice. Dude, we're in play. The extension cables we were able to get. They were the last ones coming in, but they were we were able to get those. The only negative on the Mini Maestro is that each jack is so close together that the extension cables flare out just a touch. You can't put 6 of those together. They start binding. So I'm using every other one. Now my thought is we're going to have a different Mini Maestro for each animal anyway. So we're going to have more than enough jacks. So and at that price, that's just what you do. You know what I mean? You'll notice that I've got the strain relief off the USB cable. There was some learning, but here's the beat. One side, the other side. It makes a little noise, not too much, but it moves kind of nice. Here's our nod. And sometimes when it's done, it chatters, so I back it off a little bit. Here's some tilting, which is going to be the head going like this. I'm sorry, I could just let you guys see it.
So, Tom, you're using your software here, or these?
I am using my software, yes.
Okay.
Okay. And here's the neck going down. Take it down. All right, up first. Now, the other thing that I did with my software is I set the limits. This guy I brought in quite a bit. I didn't let him go the full mechanical motion just because it can't handle it. So the software's got internal limits. Okay, it was.
That was that buzzing you were talking about?
Yeah, and you'll hear it from time to time. So if I go, and try to bring it back up. It's behaving pretty well right now. Okay, and the last one is turn, where he rotates around. Now, there's some more things you need to know, is that if you bring his head all the way up and you try to turn, you can actually turn it into the gears, and create problems. So it's more things that, there's learnings going on here. So you just kind of know what to do when. There's the buzz.
What's going on there exactly?
It's the signal it's trying to align with. It's close, so it's not giving enough juice with the weight and everything else to actually get there. Okay.
Could that be compensated in software a little bit? Or not really?
Not really. Well, yes, possibly. The way we would do that is, I think we'd recognize it's going to be at a spot where it'll undershoot or overshoot, and then bring it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or, I mean, can you detect, hey, it's kind of stalled out?
As far as this, this thing doesn't know. Right. And it really doesn't know where I sent it. And these guys don't have any external feedback. We'd have to put in encoders to say, well, hey, you told it to go to 77 and it went to 75. So it's probably humming.
So the servos each have their own feedback loop.
I love the servos for that, yes.
Oh.
It's one of the things we wanted with the motion platform was fire and forget, which is what we got with the helper tooth.
Right.
But this is even simpler. You send a reference signal, fire and forget.
Right.
Okay?
I see.
So, and this is when it's relatively new. And again, it's not my intention to find fault. It's my intention to learn so that we can give feedback so that, we don't have issues.
Well, a lot of stuff. See, for me, I look at this as I'm not a tech guy.
Right.
I'm here to make it look pretty.
Right.
But I also think of the weight of the materials I'm going to put on it. And also little things like when you bring it back and it starts to click into the gears, a lot of that is just the outer casing
Oh, sure.
that's clicking into.
Yeah, we could notch that back. Absolutely.
Yeah, and a lot of that could just be creating a casing
Yep.
very easily.
And you could replace the casing that's already there with your own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Silicone and latex and things like that. That creates a whole other level of problems. You get tearing. It wears down. If oils from the servos get onto it too much, which is not often, it breaks down the latex or the silicone, depending. There's a lot of different kinds of rubbers to play around with. But one good thing about it, because this is a stage show, you get away with a lot on stage. Like, that's why I said, you could literally cover him with fuzzy fabric and just comb it back for most of it, and then have a few feathers in there. Nobody would know that it's fur. They would look at it and go, "Oh, feathers," especially from a distance. And the same could be said for any of the other animals. I think my worry always is how much weight can the servos handle. The more I add on to it, it's going to create more weight for those servos. So, a part of me is like, keep everything as lightweight as possible, but also knowing what materials are available because of cost and everything else.